Hi, and welcome back to Global Heart Leaders YouTube channel. In this episode, we are going to talk about what it actually means to be a compassionate leader. Well, aside for the basics in any leadership skill set and training, is to be able to set clear expectations and goals and then follow up through feedback and iteration, right? Because there's no straight road to success. It's a bit like this. And sometimes we move forward and we take a few steps back. So it's all that managing that dance. But then we're talking about having the courage to actually hire the best people and make them shine. And also to be able to sometimes let your guard down and be human, because that is an excellent road to establishing trust. And it's also about this abundant mindset that I was referring to in the previous episode. And I will dive a bit deeper into what that actually means and how that transpires in the workplace. So, how do we go about this? Well, it all starts with you. I mean, we need to all to do some introspective. What values do we have, and do I have the courage to actually step into a compassionate leadership style? I mean, it's not for the weak because it requires some soul searching. And it also requires you to not be the center of attention like all the time. It means sharing the stage, giving credit when credit is due. And at the end of it all, maybe even working towards making yourself obsolete. Can you imagine if you stepped into a company as a CEO and built the management team so strong and resilient that they just fly and you just sit there? Oh, nice. Maybe it's time for me to move on to another challenge. I mean, wouldn't that be an amazing situation to be in? And so this whole abundant mindset is actually you being willing and having, the courage to develop other people. It's to build trust in your team, and this can be especially challenging when you, as a leader, have been trained differently. Maybe you took the school of management by fear, that the only way to the top is to be ruthless and brutal and you know sacrificing people to get to where you want to be. We call that the zero sum mindset of the business world, that there's only one seat at the table, and if it's not me, it's you, and it's better be me. And that's when you start treating people quite badly to get your way. No, this is a completely different route. And I would happen to know everything about this because I, as many of my peers, were trained in the management by fear leadership school. And that's all I knew for a couple of years until I realized that, but this is pretty bullshit. And I developed my own mindset, you know. So, but going back to the clear actions. Okay, so number one, clear goals and expectations. I mean, make sure that everyone knows what's expected of them and how that feeds into the company work, strategy, and vision as a whole. This is pretty basic, but not done properly, it could create problems further down the line. Because if you run into so many issues in your group or your team, and things starts to get a bit stressful, if there are not clear expectations on who's doing what and why, the blame game starts, and no one benefits from the blame game. It just soaks up so much energy, and it's not where growth will happen. The second part is trust. Everyone is talking about, oh, we need to build more trust in our teams. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? But what the heck does it even mean? Well, in order to build trust, you need to be vulnerable. That does not mean that you as a leader has to just like go and air all your dirty laundry to show that you're not perfect. No, but rather being a bit human. If you made a decision to walk this path, and then new information comes that suggests that you need to adjust that slightly, calls for us to change direction, just admit it and say, guys, I was a bit wrong on this estimate, so let's try a different route. It sounds super simple, but you wouldn't believe the number of bosses out there that are so proud and are scared shitless of being wrong. So they cling on to that first decision because they feel that admitting that it was not perfect is some kind of defeat. And sometimes they stick to the wrong path a bit too long, because they are having this internal conflict and struggle so much in admitting that, this may be not the right path for us right now. And it's just so stupid because we're all human. No one knows everything at all times. And in this fast-paced world we're living in, new conditions and things are thrown at us constantly. So we can't just let our ego and pride like stick and hold on to stuff that doesn't serve us any longer, you know. And so the second aspect into building that level of trust, aside admitting sometimes that you're wrong and changing appropriately, is actually to allow failure. I mean, this is also something we were, me in my old school of management by fear was so trained not to do. I mean, shit, we can't afford to fail. Now I'd say it's all about failure, but in micro doses and with the ability to follow up, especially if we are trying to develop or innovate something that is not yet even existent at this point. Whenever we take the road less traveled, or even if we're going in a new direction where there aren't any roads at all, I mean, we need to be able to have an open mind. And sometimes a small mistake could be so valuable at the end game. So when you talk to those big tech giants, for instance, it's all about trusting environments to dare to experiment. Sometimes it's one step back, two step forwards, one right, one diagonal here and there, but we are moving in a forward motion. So it's so lashing out on people for experimenting or trying. I mean, that is the absolute best way to kill motivation and hold people back in stages that could be absolutely crucial for both you, your team, and the company as a whole. And speaking of motivation, not giving credit to team members is actually another crucial thing. So, not being able to speak up because you're scared of being yelled at, or being ridiculed. But another reason for not speaking up could also be that you're so sick and tired of your boss constantly, taking credit for your work, that you get to a point where you don't even keen on sharing anymore. I mean, this is a complete disaster and could actually, kill the whole business, not having people feeling confident, seen, listened to, and respected, that they actually want to contribute to the success. So the minute you start not recognizing people for work well done is also the exact moment when you as a leader start to separate from your group, because they can feel this. They're not stupid people. I mean, you hired them, right? They're really good at what they do. So the minute you start doing that, that's when you have this, me and them kind of relationship that is also going to be very harmful for the long-term growth and prosperity of the company. So it's really important to give credit when credit is due, and also invite them to the table. I mean, encourage them to speak up, not only about, new cool ways going forward, but also any concerns they might have with status quo, or even things that have happened in the past that could resurface and become an issue. So team members really need to feel confident to be able to air any of these topics and to have a respectful discussion going forward. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is just people not speaking up, and it's And especially not working closely as a team and having these talks, and especially also if you have like a long going project, another key to increasing motivation is to start celebrating your small wins, your objectives or targets, because that can also, keep the engine going a bit. Yes, oh, we've been working on this for 2 years. Maybe it's another 1.5 in the making, but we're making these small projects. Gamification is another way of looking at it. So that's also really, really important. And now we're finally at the most important aspect of it all, and that is the abundant mindset. So I'm going to tell you a bit of a story and how I ended up applying this into my world. I am a bit of a fixer. So my first CEO role, it was clear. It was crystal clear. It was in another country. I was supposed to be like the expat CEO. And I was going to build processes, develop the team, and take it to break even. And when we had reached break even, I was going to find my successor, train her, and hand over. Period. That was the mission I had. So I knew that I would not spend 10 to 15 years in this process because, you know, it was a limited time. And I also knew that the group will not have patience, for me for this to take 15 years. So I was already in the mindset, okay, I need to go in and fix this, but I need then to build a solid management team and a solid company culture so that things don't fall apart when I leave. So the day that I feel in any of my CEO roles that I've had over the years, whenever I get to the point where my management team, whether it's the one I inherited, developed, or completely hired, whenever they are so independent and resilient, or they play in like a fine-tuned piano together or like an orchestra, because I always see myself as a conductor. I like that comparison. Whenever they solve problems together without involving me, I'm like, now we're getting there. But I'm going to be completely transparent with you. The first time that happened, it was in my first CEO job. So obviously, in any company today, you need experts in your field. And all the research shows that a diverse team with backgrounds and skill sets and everything, it is the key to success. But the role of the CEO is to hire the best people and then make them shine and also make them understand the vision, the value, and the end game of the company and how their role and skill set feeds into that. So when I say that my management team has finally become independent and resilient, it means that those visions, values, and the goals that we have are so, connected into them that they can start reach out to each other without always going through me. But when that happens, I will admit, my little ego Charlotte is like, oh my God, they don't need me anymore. Until I take a step back and think, but wait, but this is brilliant. Now I'm one step closer to, making myself obsolete because this CEO tenure has never been like a lifelong gig. So it means that they have evolved and I am a CEO has built this new organism that can function together. That's brilliant, you know? And when that happens, I have two choices as a CEO. Well, obviously, you need to speak to the board as well. You can ask the board and say, hey guys, we reached a point now where my management team is so strong, so solid that, I am, I've made myself obsolete. And I think we even getting to the point where I think we need someone else to take charge or even lift someone up from the management team to run the company going forward. Or if the board says, no, finally we are in harmony, we want you to stay. Then you have as a CEO then have a decision to make. Okay, am I the fixer that leaves now and everything is fine, or should I stay and for the first time, be able to, move from the nitty gritties? Because when you do a turnaround case as a CEO, you go in and it's all about, solving all these things in front of you. But now when you get to this level, you can just, I see a boat on the horizon. You can start focusing on external events. You can start working more strategically together with a board. Fantastic, but it's a different skill set, right? So do you require a new leadership for that? Yes or no? But okay, back to the abundant mindset. It also requires you for not being scared of being obsolete, because what actually happens is that you are no longer the go-to guy for every single issue in the company, which could then have that little ego thing calling, oh my God, I'm not needed, and oh, this is a bit scary. And then, but what if the board finds out that I don't work my ass off from 8 to 5 anymore? What does that mean? Or maybe insecurities stop flaring up because all you've done is that working so hard for so long and now you have time to breathe. And then all of a sudden, maybe an imposter syndrome comes in like, oh, maybe I am not good enough, because you've always measured your success and your inner power through validation from the outside. But I mean, hey, clearly you're a fantastic leader. You've gotten this far. You built your whole management team. You can lower your shoulders and, breathe. Well done. But instead, it's so easy to get sucked in and starting to freak out. But can I trust my staff? And all kinds of really weird thoughts can just pop up. And the worst thing you can do at that point is just, without any clear explanation or information, just step back into the management team and start reclaiming authority. That is the best way to mess up your management team. Because the minute you walk in and just start engaging and involving yourself, putting yourself back in the loop without clear explanations for why, you will start, their motivation will dip. They will all of a sudden feel maybe she's not trusting us anymore, and it just feels a bit weird. And then they start thinking, what is the reason for this? Oh, Charlotte, she's so unpredictable. I don't really feel safe and around her anymore, because I can't really predict her next move. And your motivation drops, your ability to think creative and innovations and all this, and it just kind of, and you go into a state of uncertainty and fear. And maybe if you are the marketing director, you actually, you know what, this is not fun anymore, and you leave. And then going back to the CEO, congratulations, you're in demand again. Now you are the CEO and the marketing director. Great. Now you have a lot of work to do, and your little ego is being fed that you are making a difference again and that you're important. But it's all bullshit, because now you also have to engage in a tedious and expensive recruitment process. It's bullshit, isn't it? Right? I mean, the abundant mindset means that for me as a CEO, to dare to hire the best people and to lift them up and just, share the stage with them, share the limelight, even though it hurts sometimes, because we're all human. But I have lifted people up to the extent that they've been shining so bright. It's like your eyes are hurting, and no, don't dim them. If you're standing next to them and they're shining a bit too bright, just put on some sunglasses. Maybe you'll even get a bit of a tan, because you hired that person. That person works with you. You are their boss and their leader. Of course, their success is going to rub off on you. Of course, the gratitude that they feel for you, towards you, for giving them that opportunity. It's amazing. you have so much to be proud of, you know? And sometimes, if that means that I eventually will step down because it's time for someone else to grow into my position, it's scary, but it also means that if you genuinely believe and have that abundant mindset, there is going to be something else waiting for you as well. I have resigned once I felt that my job has been done over and over, and left, and then took a bit of a breather and then wait for the next job to come my way, right? Sometimes it's scary. And especially when other people are on you all the time. Have you heard anything? Any news? Any new jobs? I'm like, it's coming. It's because it is a very, very different mindset, not clinging on to things out of fear or image or what other people are going to think, or because your mortgage is a bit too big, because you really need the cash flow. We're so good at tying ourselves into positions that eventually will drain our energy a bit. So try to put yourself in a position where you can actually follow your heart, and creating this abundant mindset where you actually believe that there's something more out in there in the world for you. And in my previous video, I also talked about the importance of nurturing your network, because gone are the days where you work for like 25 years for the same company. Now we are keep jumping up and down, and we move to different countries or parts of the country that you live in. We go from one industry to another. But since everything is so fast moving and agile, the chances are that you will actually bump into someone you worked with before, maybe in your next job or two jobs from now. So that also means that, really nurturing your relationships and treating people well, even though, maybe someone was your trainee 10 years ago and now they're this big ass tech CEO, so what relationship did you build with that trainee 10 years ago? Or were you just, treating them like servants because that was the culture at the company that you were working for, right? So yeah, be nice, because you never know when people and situations might resurface. But hey, speaking of trainees, I mean, tough love and nudging staff, and sometimes like, oops, bloop, you push them into the deep end of the pool. I mean, it is crucial for development and growth, right? But what I'm talking about is how you do this. Don't be mean. Don't make examples or statue examples in front of a lot of people. It is a bit of a balancing act. And I actually did a 360 review with my management team once. And I got some really eye-opening feedback, because I am a very optimistic person. I like to, I really see opportunity, and I believe so much in people and what they can create. So sometimes the feedback was that I believed more in my management team's abilities than they did themselves. And that in itself could lead to a lot of stress for them. So the feedback I got was like, yeah, Charlotte, she just keeps throwing these really difficult things at me, and I just freak out and I can't sleep at night. And I was just, holy, but whoa, I had no idea, because I saw the person, I knew what they were good at, and I knew that some of these new assignments would just elevate them. But what I missed was I didn't tell them this. I just shoved the the things that needed to be done in their lap, and I was just so confident that they were going to solve it. But they did not have that same confidence. See? So this is the difference. I threw them in the deep end of the pool because I knew they would fly. But that is not exactly nice, is it? So the feedback that I got from them was that, okay, explain why. Ask how they feel about the new assignment, but also explain what I see in them, and show that as a manager or a leader or CEO, whatever, you are there for them. They can come to you and you can support them on this journey. I mean, that's the difference, because then they feel that you really believe in them and that you're also there to hold their hand, if any. And once they feel that they're confident that you have their back, you don't actually need to hold their hand that much, because they feel confident. They're seen, they're respected, and they're, wow, she believes in me, and they can feel that genuine care. So yeah, so it's all about what journey you want to play in your team's growth. What role you want to play in your team's growth journey. So to wrap things up, work on yourself and dare to let people around you shine. You know, ask yourself, how do I normally react? And have I actually been in a situation where I kind of stole someone's limelight? Why did I do that? How did it feel? And given what you've just heard now, do you want to change that? I hope so. So it's all about fighting that inner ego, and but to be fair and open and inclusive. But back to basics. It's all about setting clear goals, expectations, feedback, and support. I mean, hold people accountable. Being a compassionate leader is not being too nice so that people just end up walking all over you. No, we're still talking about companies. We're still talking about shareholder value. We're talking about developing yourself and growing, not being, sacked because you can't manage your team because all of a sudden you're just too nice. I mean, it's not about that. It's all about the goals, the vision, the exponential growth. But it's how you do it. It's about adding elements and understanding human psychology and how we're wired. That is the key. So great. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any comments, please hit the comment section below. If you like this and don't want to miss out on future episodes, then please click the subscribe button below. Or if you listen to this and feel like, wow, I really want to walk down this path and not quite sure how to do it, then please let me know. I'm both a coach and an advisor. So if you want to get in touch, you can find my contact details at globalheartleaders.com. So yeah, have a lovely day and see you soon.